All right, we're recording.
Good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. It's Thursday, July the 1st, 2021. We welcome everyone here tonight. First of order of business will be Mr. Burks will read the public hearing and public comment policy for us. Thank you, Mr. Burks.
Okay, the public hearing policy and public comments. City staff will present and request inclusion of necessary items into the record. Applicants and representatives will be given 10 minutes to present projects and information. Public will be given 5 minutes to provide comments. When the buzzer goes off, 30 additional seconds will be given to conclude remarks. After the public has spoke, applicants will be given 5 minutes to address any issues, concerns brought forth during the public comments. This dialogue is with the board and not the public. Speakers shall not directly question applicants. All comments are to be directed to the board, mayor, or attorney. On zoning matters that do not require public hearing, the same protocol will be followed during the public comment section for each zoning item. At no time are speakers allowed to yield their time to another speaker to allow for more than 5 minutes. Discussion of the agenda items. During the agenda items discussion and comments from the board only will occur, no public input.
Thank you, Ms. Burks. First order of business tonight will be our public hearings, and tonight we have one public hearing, and that's the Flake House rezone ZC-68. Mr. Burks, you want to bring us up to speed on that?
Board members, as a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I'll ask the publication notice published in the Warren County Record be part of the record by reference. The city comprehensive plan and city ordinance be made part of the record by reference. The planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. Tonight, the Flake House zone change is 21.44 acres on the west side of South Water Street. It want to be rezoned from Ag to R1. The applicant, Hickory Ridge Family LLC. The Hickory Ridge Family LLC has submitted an application for change in zoning for the 22.44 acre tract of land on the west side of South Water Street. The request is to rezone the area from AG, Agricultural Reserve District, to R1 Low Density Residential District. The preliminary plat and final plat to create one new lot that has been submitted in conjunction with the change in the zoning application. The requests are discussed in subsequent report. Okay. The comprehensive plan includes parks and trail system concept map that shows the future trail alignment impacting this subject site. The future land map designate the parcel as rural, large lot residential. This land is used to designate and characteristics as open space and generally broken up to large individual lots or private lots. Large residential lots are likely to be long-term development pattern. Rural and residential development pattern created to perception of a large expanse open space with buildings removed from the public road and for each of it. The comprehensive plan notes approximately density within the area of 1 to 3 acre dwellings. The proposal seeks to permit zoning that would allow for a subdivision that would permit development in single-family dwellings with a minimum lot size of 1 acre. Access to the site is provided off of South Water Street, and the site is bisected by a creek running east and west. And existing utility service to the area, including streets, have been designed for low impact, low density development per the comprehensive plan designating rural large lot residential. These zoning subject site to low density residential one would result in intense and use of development consistent with the comprehensive plan. Staff recommendation is that staff has reviewed the request to rezone the subject site from Agricultural Reserve District to R1 Low Density Residential District. All items and notice as required by the state and local law have been provided and completed. The proposal is consistent with the future land map and policies within the comprehensive plan. Staff is recommending approval to the request to rezone the property to R1 as submitted by the petitioner. Okay. And
Ms. Burks?
Representative from Elizabeth Bay, if you have any questions here. That's all I have.
At this time, would anyone want to speak on behalf or against the public hearing Flake House rezone? Hearing none, we'll leave that. Any questions to the open meeting? At this time, we'll close our public hearings and open up our planning and zoning meeting. With the first order of business will be the minutes from our June the 3rd, 2021 meeting. Do you have any questions or comments or concerns about the minutes from the meeting? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes as read. Make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cooper, second by Mr. Cullum to approve the minutes as submitted. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Deitch?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Abstain, I was absent.
Mr. Holt is absent, and Mr. Costello is absent.
Motion passes 5-0 with 1 abstention and 2 absent. Next order of business will be our public comments. Mr. Burks read the rules. Each applicant will have 10 minutes, public will have 5 minutes apiece, and then the applicant will have 5 minutes to rebuttal with the board if it needed. Mr. Burks, you want to start us off with the first one? Cool College Addition Subdivision Preliminary Final Plat Subdivision -92. That was postponed from our last meeting.
This project was from the last meeting. I did receive the numbers from the engineer, and they should have been emailed out to everyone for you to review. You want to go through the whole report again?
No, you're fine. I don't know if it's working now. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is a Cool College addition, 0.91 acres of Cool Avenue between College and Vauchel Avenue. It's a preliminary and final plat together, SUBD-92. Zoning is R2, Single Family Residential District. The applicant is ML Land Holdings, LLC. St. Charles Engineering and Surveying Incorporated, on behalf of ML Land Holdings, LLC, has submitted an application for a preliminary/record plat for a 0.91 acre of land on the west side of Cool Avenue between College Avenue and Vauchel Avenue. The preliminary and final plat depicts 4 single-family lots with lot size minimum frontage requirement meeting or exceeding the R2 medium density single-family residence. Okay. The future land use within the Warrenton Comprehensive Plan designate the subject site as a single-family residential. See, the purpose subdivision of land is located on the existing roadway and design standard consistent with R2 medium district density single-family residential district, utilizing the existing infrastructure within the area to help facilitate and meld into an existing development pattern within the area and provision of single-family lots that are consistent with the surrounding area. Okay. The staff analysis. Sidewalks are not included on the proposed preliminary final plat. Section 410-140.A.2 states the developer of the land on each side of the existing street is responsible for installation of those sidewalks. Plan does not include any installation of mailbox, and the staff has received correspondence from the United States Postal Service that the cluster mailbox will not be required. No change to stormwater along the road are proposed as the street is existing. The preliminary plat notes that contribution to the open space fund in the amount of $1,152 is required. Permits and permits the Planning and Zoning Commission to expedite this subdivision review to combine the preliminary plat and the final plat submittal requirements upon a request of the subdivider. As such, the preliminary plat and the final plat has been submitted for review and approval. Staff recommendations: staff has reviewed the proposed preliminary and final plat and found the proposal is consistent with Chapter 410, the subdivision regulations of Warrenton Municipal Code. Further, proposal design of the residential subdivision further the goals of the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary and final plat with the following condition: the sidewalks be installed along the frontage of College and pay into the sidewalk fund for Boschel and Cool. Since there's no sidewalks on that side of Cool, contribute to the Stormwater Management Improvement Fund in the amount of $200 be deposited with the city, and contribute to open space funds in the amount of $1,152 be deposited with the city. Also, that portion of Boschel to Highway 47 on, I think, 21-22 budget for engineering for the sidewalks and the stormwaters in that area. Okay.
Very good.
And that's all I have. Any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you, Ms. Burks. Is the applicant present for that? Is the applicant here tonight for this one?
The engineer should be here.
Okay. State your name for the record and we'll go from there. Thank you, sir.
My name is Jeffrey Schreier with St. Charles Engineering Surveying. Nothing's really changed since last month when this item was tabled. I do have Tom Polish and John Houston with ML Land Holdings here tonight to answer any questions if you may have any. I have provided, I think, 2 different reports to the city regarding stormwater and the hydrology. And basically, I think one of those, the first one, if you was to look at it, the differential runoff is actually less than I put on the preliminary plat, because if you do a more detailed approach at it, it's just less runoff. Developers are okay with all the conditions, and we just here to seek approval.
Thank you. Open it up for any public comments. Anybody from the public that want to speak on behalf of the Cool College Edition tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on and open up the estates at Pinckney Ridge Final Plat, Subdivision -83.
The Pinckney Ridge Subdivision Plat, SUBD-83. It's 33.21 acres at the intersection of Pinckney Drive and Warrior Avenue. It's going to be a final plat was submitted. It's R2 single-family residential. The applicant is George Heath. George Heath has submitted an application for a final plat for a 33.21 acre tract of land at the intersection of Pinckney Drive and Warrior Avenue. The final plat depicts 98 single-family lots with common ground and easements for stormwater management. All proposed residential lots comply with the minimum lot size requirement of R2 single-family residential district, and the lots comply with the residential subdivision design requirements for minimum lot width. Additionally, the final plat is consistent with the preliminary plat previously approved for the subject site. The prior report for the rezoning and preliminary plat for the subject site were discussed in the prior report. The summary prior report and design and proposed subdivision complies with the comprehensive plan desire for neighborhoods to include cul-de-sac layouts and to meld into the existing neighborhood design. Developments on the west side of Pinckney Drive include the similar layout. Okay. Staff analysis: lots abutting Pinckney Drive show rear yard easement setbacks along Pinckney Drive, which result in an individual lot access off Interior Street instead of permitted driveways access off Bruiser Street. Consistent with the preliminary plat, the final plat includes area for installation of mailbox. The stormwater design has been submitted in accordance with the city code requirements. Final verification and approval of the design shall be completed prior to execution of the plat by the city. I have received the initial review on the stormwater, and it has been sent back with the comments. Parking lane plan was submitted and approved as required in the condition of the preliminary plat. Completion of escrow will be required, guaranteeing installation of improvements. Staff recommendations. Staff has reviewed the proposed final plat in accordance with Chapter 410 subdivision regulation of the Warrenton Municipal Code. The proposed design of the residential subdivision furthers the goals of the comprehensive plan and is consistent with the approval of the preliminary plat for the development. Staff recommends approval of the final plat with the following items to be provided prior to final execution of the plat by the city. Approval of the stormwater management plan, completion of escrow for required improvements, approval of the parking lane plan, and submission of indentures for maintenance of the common elements within the subdivision. Okay. Got any questions? That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Burks. Ask at this time if the applicant wants to step up and speak. Okay. Anyone in the public that would like to speak on behalf of the Estates at Pinckney Ridge final plat? Step to the podium, state your name. Hang on just a second. I'll get right to you. Come on up. Just state your name for the record and then ask your question or comment.
Kathy Stenberg from North Fork Farms.
Okay?
Okay, and can we scroll back to the map? I'm not sure I really have a question, but I kind of want to get a better look
Sure.
at this. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused. Where are we to this? We're the North Fork Farm area on South Water Street.
That's on the Flake Farm. This is Pinckney off of Pinckney Ridge across from Villages of Warrior Ridge.
Okay.
That's where this is located at.
Okay.
South Water Street is the Flake House.
Oh,
That's the other subdivision. So if you'd like to answer, you want to save your question for when we get to that agenda item?
yeah, probably.
Yeah, this is
I'm
the other
sorry.
one.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
because I know where Pinckney is.
Okay. Thank you. State your name, ma'am.
I'm Lula Thames.
Thank you.
And I just have a question about the Pinckney
Sure.
development. Did I understand that all these sections, this whole plot's going to be divided for single family and not apartments? That's a question.
Correct.
Okay. So,
That is correct, Mr. Heath. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak tonight on the Pinckney? Just state your name for the record, ma'am. Thank you.
Ellie Lauderdale.
Hi there.
So the price range of these homes is going to be starting at what?
So for purposes of rezoning, it's actually inappropriate for local government to inquire as to whether they're owner-occupied or price range. That's not appropriate to address with regards to zoning based on, so if the property owner wants to address it, they can, but they're not required to, and we can't make them address it, and that's not proper consideration for this body.
But don't the people that have lived here for a long time have a right to know what's being put in there? Because of the property value that we all have is going to go downhill if those houses aren't going to be medium range at least. It's just going to bring more deterioration to the Truesdale, Warrenton area.
I understand that, but this is a body reviewing, if you watch the presentation, reviewing
Okay.
this proposed development based on the comprehensive plan and based on the City of Warrenton's municipal code. It's a single-family residential development that complies with the code, and the rezoning request is consistent with the development plan for the city of Warrenton. For this body can't inquire of the applicant. Now, you can certainly ask the applicant, you can ask the applicant outside if they want to answer it, they can, but that's not appropriate for them to inquire as to those categories or what level, or is it for low-income housing or whatnot. It's inappropriate. It's actually unconstitutional for them to do that to the landowner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public would like to speak at this time? State your name for the record, please. Thank you, ma'am.
Mary Narzinski.
Hi, Ms.
Is
Narzinski.
the applicant here for this plat?
Yes. They'll have a chance to speak when they get done,
Oh, okay.
when you get done.
So I just want to know who to go to
Oh, okay.
later. Okay, thank you.
My name is Willie Devereaux. And
Devereaux,
I'd like
thank you.
to know how far from the, okay, I stay on the line where the Flake property is. How far from, and will it have a road? Will it be building houses? And will it have a road?
Are you talking about the Pinckney or the?
It's the Flake property. It goes straight down.
That's the next one that's coming up.
Okay, that's the next one.
We'll bring that one up in a minute.
Beautiful day.
And then you can come back. Thank you. Yeah, okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on the estates of Pinckney Ridge at this time? Open it up to the applicant if they want to say anything at this time. Thank you, sir. State your name for the record, please.
Evening, my name is George Heath. I'm
you,
the
Mr.
applicant for the Pinckney Estates. I'll just address the price range. These will be 1,200 square, it's not low income at all. It'll be very similar to the houses that are built across the street. We're here to get a final on the preliminary.
Thank you, Mr. Heath.
Thank you.
We'll close that public comment section and open up the next one, which will be the Flake House Subdivision Preliminary Final Plat Subdivision -93. Mr. Burks, you want to bring us up to speed on that one, please?
The Flake House preliminary final plat, SUBD 93. It's 21.44 acres on the west side of Southwater. It's a preliminary / final record plat. The applicant is Hickory Ridge Family LLC. Lewis and Beatty, on behalf of Hickory Ridge Family LLC, has submitted an application for a preliminary / final plat for 1.39 acres of land along Water Street. The preliminary final plat depicts one single-family lot meeting and exceeding the R1 low-density residential district requirements. The future land map with the Warrenton Comprehensive Plan designate this subject site as rural large lot residential. The comprehensive plan notes that the new residential subdivision should meld into the existing neighborhood, and the plan notes the desire to Cavalier Streets network and numerous cul-de-sacs. The proposed preliminary and final record plat simply carves out a 1.39 acre tract out of a larger tract of land, which is the part of the 22 acres with the rezone from the earlier project. Okay, the staff analysis, this area is zoned residential under the provision of R1 low density residential district requirement. Any further development of this area is subject to the review to ensure compliance with all provisions of R1 district and the city code requirements. The comprehensive plan designates this entire area as rural large lot residential, and the proposed subdivision does not create inconsistencies with the future land use plan for the city. The plan modifies one existing lot by creating two lots, each meeting the minimum design standards for the lot within R1 low density residential district. Sidewalks is not included on the plans, and Section 405.080G3 exempt developments within the R1 district for providing sidewalks, except in situations in which the Board of Aldermen believe that public safety demands their installation. Staff does not believe sidewalks in this location should be required. See. No additional development impact stormwater, impacting the stormwater as contemplated. As such, stormwater management plan is not required. The section 410-150 requires residential projects to provide park areas and open space in lieu thereof at the option of the city, a payment of money in amount of accordance with a defined schedule. Given the limited scope of the subdivision, payment into the special park fund is appropriate and will be required prior to signing the final plat. The staff has reviewed the proposed preliminary and final plat record and found that the proposal is consistent with Chapter 410 subdivision regulations of Warrenton Municipal Code. Further, the proposed design of the residential subdivision furthers the goal of the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary final record plat with the following conditions. Payment to the Special Park Fund will be provided prior to final and record plat approval.
Thank you, Ms. Burks. Turn it over to the applicant. I think it'd be helpful if you, yeah, come on up. It'd be helpful to, just for all of us, because I think a lot of us get confused when it, because it starts out in Truesdale, the road itself.
Yes, it does.
So when it comes back in there, it's kind of confusing for a lot of people, so thank you.
Right, so good
State your
evening.
name.
I'm Brandon with Lewis and Beatty.
Thank you, Brandon.
What we're proposing here for the Flake House subdivision preliminary and record plat is you've got the existing home and shed and garage and the buildings that were around the old Flake home. What they're doing is they're just carving a 1.39 acre tract out around that to sell that house and outbuildings as part of that. That's really all we're doing with this. Yeah, it does access off of Water Street through Highway M, but that's all connected through, and that City of Warrenton continues on east into CEF and.
Okay. And then to the west of that.
To the west of that is that.
How close, because I didn't look that close on the thing there. How close does it back up to the property that they're developing on the Pinckney side there?
That would be
I think
to
that's
the
kind of the
south. The other property, the estates at Pinckney Ridge, I believe, is south and west.
Right.
Maybe just
So it's
south.
not butted up back to back?
No, this is actually to the west, to the east of this is Water Street, to the west of this is that, what's that cul-de-sac? Pinckney Manor? That vacant cul-de-sac there just south of the creek. And then there's a couple houses there to the west, and then it might butt up to the cemetery?
Pretty
to the
close
back side
there.
of the cemetery?
Yeah.
I believe. But that's
what I was
on the rezone portion. That's
Sure.
a good ways away from the existing home.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Is there any public comments at this time on this? On what they're, come on back up. State your name once again.
I'm Lula Timms, and I live on Water Street. We live up on Water Street.
Okay.
And I'm understanding that this is going to be single-family homes? Is that the understanding here?
Existing. It's an existing home.
It's an existing home. That's just,
So you're going to develop behind that house, behind that?
no, that's not,
Oh, this is all.
That's the reason.
that's a little bit later.
So when the development comes, are you going to be coming out onto Water Street right there and right in well, it's Truesdale? No?
That's Warrenton, actually.
Is it?
It's right here.
I guess I'm confused about where this development is taking place. They're behind us. I mean, they're behind us.
This is where the side is, right here. It's part of 118 acre.
Yeah.
Original farm is 118 acres. So we're just sectioning out a little piece right here where the home and the old homestead was. So this is your Water Street.
There'll be no change in Water Street. They're just
Not at
going
all.
to be entering out there.
Yeah, they'll use the same entrance that they currently use right now for the home.
I got you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Heath. Okay. If you want to ask a question, you'll have to come to the podium so we can get it on record. Was there another question that needed to be asked? Come on up, sir. State your name. Thank you, sir.
Scott Peters.
Hi, Mr. Peters.
I live on Water Street also.
Okay.
Well, just to address where they were going right there, the new plat and the Water Street, the what's his name? The Flakus part.
Right.
Are you going to connect any roads from that big plat into Flakes so that they can get onto Water Street? Is there any plan for roads connecting those two plats together? Because if they do, that's where they'll go. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing was an environmental impact. Right now, the water runoff, the creek deformation on Water Street. I've got 4 places just in front of my property alone, half-mile road frontage, that the creek is washing out the street. The city of Warrenton's been in there with concrete, giant plaques of concrete, and then pouring concrete in to hold them in place to keep this creek from washing out the road. As soon as all these homes get built up there, everything on the east side of 47 runs through that creek getting out. There's 2 entrances on the Flake property where the water comes in. One of them's right next to my property. The big one you can see when you're just coming down around the corner. I don't know what they're doing about the water runoff right now, but it's, well, the creek is mud. There's, you can tell Murphy's got one coming down hers from up at the north side of the street, and when it enters those 2 waters, it's mud and clear. So I'm just wondering, there's already water coming down. As soon as you get all that pavement up there, I'm pretty sure that creek is going to get a lot more water than it's got now. So I was wondering about what you're planning on doing to...
Those types of questions will be answered when that plan comes in front of us and so forth.
Okay, that was...
Yeah.
Okay, power requirements, new substations. How many homes are we putting in there?
That's not up for discussion tonight, so we don't know.
Well then, okay then. Water towers. Okay, I guess the rest of this I don't need to ask because it's not up for tonight.
Am I correct, Mr. Burks, on that? That tonight we're just dealing with the
one home is being carved out.
The one home that's being carved out. That's what we're addressing tonight.
Yes,
that's right.
There really is a water drainage problem, though.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Peters. Brandon, do you have anything to say at this time? Mr. Heath, yes, thank you, sir. Yeah, sure. Appreciate that, Mr. Heath.
Again, George Heath. Basically, this is was originally a 118-acre farm, and it has been just a rental for us, and the owners with the cheap interest rate want to buy the house that they're living in. We have, as of right now, we have no future plans for a subdivision at all. We did clear the property. It still has vegetation on it. I'm sure there's some crazy water coming down that creek, but I mean, we did not disturb the creek.
Right.
Just with the DNR regulations, we basically cleared the trees. But I mean, you can go on the property, it basically is going to be cut for hay. So as of this time, we have no future development for that site. We're basically just carving out that 1 point, whatever that acreage is, for that tenant to buy the property. That's all we're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Heath.
Thank you.
Thanks for clearing that up. All right, we'll close our public comments for this evening and get back to the meeting, which will be the Cool College Edition subdivision preliminary final plat subdivision 92 that was postponed from our last meeting. So it's time for the board, to anybody on the commission, to ask questions at this time. can't remember. I was in Kansas, so I'm not.
I believe
I'm
what
not-
was,
Huh?
I believe what the problem was on this one was the water drainage.
Well, that was
We
my
had a
question.
lot
So
of-
with
lot
this
of-
with this 10 inches of rain, how did we do there?
I'm not sure. I know that I received different numbers
Okay, good.
from the engineers, and it was sent over to our engineer.
Right.
And we got a response back, and I emailed that and the numbers from their
Right.
engineer over to everybody.
Okay.
So the numbers are, he signed off on the numbers are
Good
good.
deal. And I think that's what the gentleman stated tonight earlier as well. So very good.
Yeah, and that was the only variance that was holding it up last month.
All right. Hearing that, we'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Cool College addition with the following conditions. Sidewalk to be installed along the frontage of College Avenue and pay into the sidewalk fund for Vaushall Avenue and Cole Road. Contribution to the Stormwater Management Improvement Fund in the amount of $200 be deposited with the city. And contribution to the Open Space Fund in the amount of $1,152 deposited with the city.
Thank you, Mr. Cullum. Second. Second by Mr. Priest. Before we go to a roll call vote, can we get a date of the meeting for the Board of Aldermen that everything's going to go to tonight?
It will be the 6th.
The 6th? So it's the next Tuesday, right?
Yes.
So everything that will come in front of tonight out of here will go in front of the Board of Aldermen on July the 6th for everybody's, that's on Tuesday. And that's at 7 o'clock?
6.
6 o'clock. Right here. All right. Thank you. So we have a motion by Mr. Cullum, second by Mr. Priest to approve the Cool College's additional subdivision preliminary final plat subdivision dash 92 with all the additions that Mr. Cullum stated. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Burton?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Deach?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 with 2 absent. Next order of business will be the estates at Pinckney Ridge, final plat subdivision dash 83.
The staff recommendation on that would be the approval of stormwater management plan, the completion of escrow required improvement, approval of the parking lane plan, and a submission to intenders for maintenance of common elements within the subdivision.
And have you got all that done yet, or is that what we're asking to be done before they?
Yes, that's what we're...
Before they move forward.
Conditions to be done.
Okay. Brandon, did you have a comment about that? Huh? Oh, that one's not. Oh, do you? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the estates at Pinckney Ridge subdivision 83 with the following conditions. Approval of the stormwater management plan, a completion escrow for required improvements, approval of the parking lane plan, and submission of indentures for maintenance of common elements within the subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Cullum. Second by Mr. Deach. We have a motion and seconded by Mr. Cullum and Mr. Deach to approve the estates at Pinckney Ridge, final plat subdivision dash 83 with the following additions that he had commented on. Any other questions or comments at this time? Roll call vote.
Mr. Burton?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Deach?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 with 2 absent. The next order of business will be the Flake House rezone change dash 68.
And there was no recommendation for
that again?
No recommendation. I mean, the recommendation approval without any conditions.
Without any conditions, correct. Because it's the one that we've been discussing. That's just a simple cutting out the acre point something to sell it. So it was a pretty simple forward thing there. Just cleaning up some things that needed to be done. Very good. Anybody else on the commission have a question? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezoning for the Flake House change in the zoning of the, from AG to R1 as described without any conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Cullum. Second. Second by Mr. Priest. To approve the Flake House rezone change -68. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Deitch?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes, motion passes 6-0, 2 absent. Next order of business will be the Flake House subdivision preliminary plat subdivision -93.
The staff's recommending approval with the condition of payment to the special park fund will be provided prior to the final plat approval.
Is this the one that you were talking about where, because it says here something about sidewalks along Water Street, but this is the one where it says that that's only if the Board of Aldermen decide it's necessary at that time, and at this time they don't deem it necessary, but if in the future that could change.
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. All right. Anybody on the board have a question or comment about that? Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept as the city plans here with payment to special park funds if needed.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Durbin, second by Mr. Deitch to approve the Flake House subdivision preliminary plat subdivision -93 with the special park fund part taken care of before. So, any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Deitch?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Last order of business on the agenda tonight will be the Flake House subdivision final plat subdivision -93.
Oh, they were, shoot,
What's that?
they were together.
Oh, that was the final.
Yeah, it was
Preliminary and
preliminary and
final.
final. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I saw that on the top one there.
Yeah, reading through the text, I saw that they were both combined, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's my fault then. So I'll just go back and state that the subdivision preliminary plat, final plat was together on item number 6. That was made, a motion by Mr. Durbin, second by Mr. Deitch to approve that. You guys still okay with that?
Yes.
And a roll call vote was 6-0 with 2 absent. Thank you for the correction. Okay. Scratch that out. And I'll close the meeting and turn it over to Mr. Burks. Anything next month that we have at this time?
No projects on the agenda, but we are working on the zoning matters that were discussed at the workshop.
Right. Very good. Anybody else have anything for the good of the group tonight? Mr. Deitch?
Move that we close the meeting and adjourn for the evening.
Second by Mr. Cooper. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for coming out. Thank you, public. Appreciate you guys. Good night.